In today's video, I wanted to walk you through how demographic targeting works inside Google Ads and how to actually optimize it so that you're spending your budget more effectively when it comes to the ages of the people that come in contact with your ads and also the gender as well, because you might find that specific age groups and one gender over the other performs better for your campaign depending on the service that you're running. Now, when it comes to demographic targeting, you're going to come over to the left hand side and press audiences. And first here you see audience segments. Now, I made a separate video on audience segments already, but just the short form of this is that you want to have this turned off from the beginning. So we want to have it in observation mode and we're just collecting data on all the different audiences that we select, but we're not targeting any specific audiences. But when it comes to demographics, we come down here and you see columns for age, gender, and household income. Now, depending on the country that you're based, I think in the USA that you will have a lot more data on this household income. So if you're offering a really high ticket service, for example, then it would make sense to maybe target, the top 10% earners. But in a lot of other countries like Ireland and the UK, for example, we don't actually have this data. So when it comes to demographics, it's really just age and gender that we can look at. So if we come down to age, first of all, if we want to see some like data on this to see like which age groups are actually performing the best, what we can do first of all is down below this like table here is press show table to see the actual data on this. So we want to make sure that we have no filters selected firstly. And once we have all of these age groups at the ad group level up here, we just want to change it to the campaign view first of all to see like a more high level like overview of how each age group is actually performing at the campaign level. And once you do that, then you just have a really simple and easy to read table here of each of the age groups from 18 to 24 all the way up to 65 plus. And you see how they're performing overall with the amount of conversions they're getting, the cost per conversion, the amount of clicks as well is important because you need, each one to have a decent amount of clicks to be able to make, important decisions when it comes to making bid adjustments and things like that, which I'll show you in a moment. So for example, the 18 to 24 age group here for this campaign has very little clicks. So yeah, it might, look like it's performing well with it like nearly a 17% conversion rate, but that's based on a much lower amount of clicks, so it's not, enough relevant data to make any bid adjustments just yet. But as you can see then over time, most of the rest of these age groups, apart from maybe 45 to 54, seems to be the best performing age group of all, with the rest of the age groups performing equally well with a conversion rate of between 11 and 12%. So looking at this data now, it would make sense to want to make a small bid adjustment for the 45 to 54-year-old age group because of its low cost per conversion and its slightly higher conversion rate. But how do we actually do that? And before I do that, it's actually worth mentioning as well for those of you that prefer seeing things visually when it comes to, analyzing data. If you choose cost per conversion under conversions here and also conversion rate as the other bar here, you can just see some visual data on like, which age groups are performing the best. And because we have cost per conversion in blue and conversion rate in red, we want the blue column to be as low as possible and the red one to be as large as possible. Now remember we mentioned that the 18 to 24-year-old age group just didn't have enough data yet, so it does look quite skewed. But you can tell here that the 45 to 54-year-old age group does seem to be performing the best because it has a slightly lower blue column and a slightly higher red column, with all of the other age groups performing quite equally overall. So let's say we want to make a bid adjustment to the 45 to 54-year-old age group. But the first thing what we do is change this back to the ad group level first of all. So let's say we want to make a positive bid adjustment, meaning that we want to bid a bit higher for the 45 to 54-year-old age group just because it's performing best. The first thing we do is come back down to our table and change the view from campaign view back to ad group view because we're only able to make changes at the ad group level in this case. And the first thing you do then once you do that is you add a filter by coming here. You press age. You then choose the 45 to 54-year-old age group or whatever age group you're looking for in your case and just press apply then. And once you've done that, then you just press here to beside age to select all ad groups of which you're wanting to make the bid adjustment for that age group, and then you press edit, you press change bid adjustments, and then you have the option to increase or decrease that age group bid adjustment by whatever percent you want. So let's say your usual bid is €10 per click. If you add a positive bid adjustment by increasing by 10%, then that means you'd be willing to pay up to €11 per click for that ad group, or sorry, for that age group, because it's performing better than the rest. So let's say we put in a 15% positive bid adjustment for the 45 to 54-year-old age group because it's performing better than the others. A €10 bid would become an €11.50 bid, basically, as I just mentioned. And you can do the same thing if you have an age group that's performing a lot worse than the others. You can decrease your bid adjustment, and a €10 bid would become €8 if you did a decrease of 20%. So I hope that makes sense. Gender then is another one. So, like, whether male or female tends to perform better depending on the service that you offer. And to just get a brief overview of this, I like to just quickly go to campaign view. And you see in this case that female has a slightly lower cost per conversion than male, but not too much overall. But like there is a lot more traffic from male, with still the majority of conversions coming from there, with a similar click-through rate and a similar conversion rate overall. So if you have very similar results, you wouldn't need to make any bid adjustments unless you saw much of a difference in results. And when you're looking at the bars here and you see clicks, the amount of clicks isn't really giving you relevant data. So as I mentioned, I like to go to conversions and look at the cost per conversion. So you can choose cost per conversion for the blue column, and then for the red column, we go back to conversions as well, and you can go with conversion rate. And as I mentioned, you want the blue column to be as low as possible and the red one to be high for the best results. And you can see that male and female here are pretty much the same. But if you wanted to make a negative or positive bid adjustment to either, you come back down to the table. As we mentioned, you change it to the ad group view. You choose add filter, and you select male or female, and then you're able to add your positive or negative bid adjustment depending on the results in your case based on the data that you've collected. So I hope this video was useful and gave you some clarity when it comes to demographic targeting inside Google Ads, and how to optimize for the best possible results when it comes to the ages and gender of those that you're targeting for your campaign based on the data that you've collected so far. So this is obviously not something you'd want to make any changes to for the first 1 to 2 months. But once you have got some data on these, if you notice that any particular age group or gender is performing much better or worse than the other, then you're able to make optimizations in the form of bid adjustments to those. And optimizing for both age and gender, you follow the exact same process, as I mentioned previously in this video. And if you do have any questions at all, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you do like this Google Ads related content, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as we'll be posting all things related to Google Ads here daily. So hopefully I'll see you in the next video.